Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. So this video is about the full moon happening in Leo on January 25th at 12:54 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this video is 5 things I want to share with you about this full moon. And the first thing I want to share with you about the full moon is the numerology. So first of all, when it comes to the numerology about this full moon and Leo energy, I have to touch on the fact that we're in a 8th year, and this is the first full moon in the 8th year. And we're in the 8th year because if you add up the numbers in 2024, they add up to the number 8 vibration. So of course, that's going to play a part when it comes to, this full moon energy. And I think about the number 8 energy is a kind of energy that it's almost like, imagine we're getting ready to turn a corner. The number 8 energy for me is like we're preparing to turn a curve. What I mean by that is, based on my experience in business, the 8th year of the business is when you decide if you're going to add to the business and evolve it, or you're going to scrap the business and sell the business. It's like the 8th year, the number 8 deals with finances, numbers, it deals with legalities and things like that. So within the 8th year, you might look at the numbers and say, is it worth continuing with this business? And you might say, okay, I'm going to add these changes in the business so it'll bring in more revenue. Or you might say, it's time to sell the business. So in the 8th year, in the 9th year, you might sell the business. And that same approach could go towards anything. It could go towards our career paths. In the 8th year, we say, can I see myself continuing this career path? Or do I want to change? And in the 8th year, you go back to school. You sign up for school. You decide to get more education. So with the full moon in Leo energy, something comes to an end, and Leo energy deals with our identity. It deals with our imagination, our courage, our inner world, that childlike aspect of ourselves, the creative aspect of ourselves. So with the 8th year and a full moon in Leo, it's like something comes to an end when it comes to maybe, I think of like a childhood goal or a creative path that we wanted to pursue, and us deciding if we should scrap it or put an end to it because of maybe financially it's not adding up. When it comes to also the numerology with this, January is the first month, and the number 1 deals with new beginnings. The number 1 deals with imagination. The number 1 deals with ideas. The full moon is on the 25th. The number 2 energy is nurturing. The number 1 is the idea. The number 2 is nurturing. The number 5 energy deals with change. 2 plus 5 is 7. The energies in the day adds up and reduces to number 7 vibration. The number 7 brings this need for truth. The number 7 brings this need for understanding. Something doesn't add up, something doesn't make sense, something doesn't feel right. It's like being told something is a fact because it's a collective agreement, but whenever you do your own concrete thinking, the math isn't mathing. That's what the numerology feels like when it comes to this full moon. It's like I have to put something to an end, or I have to sacrifice something, and I'm told that I need to make this sacrifice, but the math isn't mathing, and I'm going to get more into that later. But the full moon is at 5 degrees, and the number 5 again deals with sudden and unexpected changes. So some sudden and unexpected event occurs and something comes to an end. And with the energies in the day adding up to the number 7 vibration, we're going inside ourselves and searching for some truth. We're searching to make things make sense. And also too, something about this ending strengthens our faith in some way, as we feel like our faith is tested, because, you know, it feels like something doesn't make sense. And in order to get the truth we need, it can only come from within us. So no matter what anyone else says, if it's not coming from within us, it won't, you know, we won't feel satiated. We won't feel like our question is answered. So even though others can inspire us, you can watch this video and, you know, gain new insight. It's like the information you get outside of you will only serve as a match to light the flame within you to go, so you could go deeper, so you can see more. The second thing that I want to share with you is what happens when there is a full moon in Leo. So a full moon is when the sun and the moon oppose each other at the exact degree. And with that opposition, there's a push and a pull, a push and a pull. It's like two people being forced to make sacrifices and they don't want to. It's like the moon is our inner world. The moon is our subconscious mind. The sun is our identity, it's the practical world, but it's our conscious mind. When I think of the opposition, I think of how subconsciously we'll hold on to a certain belief or view, and we don't realize it because it's through repetition. We've developed this view or belief, but consciously we think that we have done the work and we're trying to manifest certain things in our lives. But even though we feel like we're doing the positive thinking and we're trying to manifest certain things in our lives, what we don't want keeps showing up and it's not making sense. And that's because there's an opposition in belief, in the sense that a person might say, I want to attract relationships, loving relationships, but in the subconscious mind, there's an imprint that says people can't be trusted, don't ever trust them. So if people can't be trusted and don't ever trust them, how do we attract loving relationships and connections? Instead, we're going to attract reasons that confirm why people can't be trusted, don't ever trust them. So when I think of the opposition, I think of, you know, something that's a part of the same plane but on opposing sides. So with a full moon in Leo, when I think of Leo, I think of the I am, I think of the self. When I think of Leo, I think of expressing oneself. When I think of Leo, I think of attention and recognition from expressing oneself. But the sun conjunct Pluto is in Aquarius. So there's this push and pull and opposition between what's good for oneself and what's good for the collective. And sometimes what's good for ourselves will feel like an opposition based on what's good for the collective. And that brings me into the third thing I want to share with you, and that is the challenges when it comes to this full moon energy. And the challenges when it comes to this full moon energy reminds me of a movie. I think it was like an 8-part movie, if that's how I say it, that I recently saw, called The Brothers Sun, S-U-N. And it was about an Asian family. And within this family, I think it was like a crime family. And the mother lives in LA with her son, who thinks that he has an older brother who, I don't remember where he thought his older brother is, but he's never met, or he remembers seeing him when he was like 6 years old, but now he's like 17, about to be 18. And he thought the father was a drunk or whatnot. And him and his mom are in LA and they're struggling, trying to make ends meet. he's in college to become a doctor, and he's sneaking and taking improv classes and whatnot. But anyways, everything hits the fan and comes to find out he's from a very wealthy, successful family. And the father, runs this, is like a gangster type family. And the biggest thing within the family is, every decision you make is for the family. That's the theme in the movie. But even at times where some of the people would take advantage of that, where they'll say this is for the family, but really it's for themselves. Like, they're being very selfish, but they're making it seem like everything is being done for the family. So I think of the challenges when it comes to this full moon energy. I think of the moon in Leo like two of the sons who wanted to pursue their own paths, but felt guilty about pursuing their own path because it was in conflict with what's good for the family. So I look at the opposition, Sun conjunct Pluto in Aquarius, brings me to the family, the collective, the community. Moon in Leo brings me to the person wanting to pursue their own path. It's like the young man wanting to go to improv classes and become an actor or something like that. But instead, it would be better for the family to become a doctor. One of the sons who's really good at baking and instead would want to own a bakery, but at the same time, it's better for the family for him to be assassin because he was bred to be an assassin from a small child. But then when the mother decided she wanted to take over the empire or whatever, being the main drug lord or crime lord or whatever, she told the son who wanted to be, who's good at baking, that maybe instead he can open up a bake shop because it would be good to launder money. But then eventually he had to, give up on that because she's gonna need him to take over to take over and gain the respect because he's a feared and well-known assassin. So at the end of the day, this full moon is bringing me to that. The challenges in this full moon is bringing me to that, where it's like something doesn't feel fair. It's like whether it's collectively in the world or within our families, we feel like we have to give up something for the community, for the collective, but something about the math ain't mathing. So like in the movie, the father realized that the son, the youngest son who wasn't raised with him, tried to betray him. And so did the wife. So he sent the assassin son to go take out his brother in front of the mother so she could suffer. And he didn't do it. But at the end of the day, the assassin brother, who's a soldier, was confused because if we're doing everything for the family, they are the family, and you're telling me to go take them out, but they are the family. So, in that moment, that's where you realize that it's like, you keep telling me everything is for the family, but then you're telling me to go take out the family. So the math ain't mathin'. So something, that's the challenge when it comes to this full moon energy. Also, too, the moon is a part of a T-square between Jupiter in Taurus and the sun conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. So something about security, stability is challenged. Some decision has to be made because of security, stability in relation to the family legacy, because Taurus deals with the family legacies, is the things that we value. So something that we value is contradicting our psychology, if that makes sense. So this is where we might value ourselves and freedom of expression. But us valuing ourselves and freedom of expression pretty much contradicts our group-minded psychology. So it's like the brother who values family, the brother who has a psychology about family, but at the same time values something else. And those things are conflicting each other. Unexpectedly, when it comes to this full moon in Leo energy. So unexpectedly, we'll find ourselves having to release something, let something go, and unexpected is the fourth thing that I wanted to share if I didn't already say that. So the fourth thing about this full moon energy is what's unexpected. And unexpectedly, we'll have to make a decision. Unexpectedly, we'll have to make a decision and become clear about what it is that we value and why we value what we value, because Taurus energy talks about the things we value, and Jupiter is there. And Jupiter in Taurus is squaring Pluto in Aquarius conjunct the sun, and Pluto energy is our psychology. So Pluto conjunct the sun is our psychology in Aquarius, our psychology in relations to community, our psychology in relations to humanity. So for me, it's a matter of being clear about what it is that we value, why we value it, and then changing our psychology to support the things that we value. The fifth thing that I want to share with you when it comes to this full moon is the blessings. And the blessings that I see with this full moon, I love how the moon is positively aspecting Neptune in Pisces. So with the challenges that we might feel when it comes to this full moon, it's forcing us to go inside of ourselves. And magic happens when we go inside of ourselves. Because like the energies in the day adds up and reduces to number 7 vibration, the number 7 brings us to introspection. The number 7 is an intuitive energy. The number 7 deals with knowing. So with everything that we're going through, it forces us within. It forces us to go in isolation. And Leo is not an energy. Leo, like the lion, is all about the tribe. So now the lion, the child within us is forced to be still and to go within. And only from going within we'll strengthen ourselves and get the guidance that we need in order to make the decisions that is in alignment with our truth. But also, when I think about, how Pluto entered into Aquarius on the 20th, I think about how, major changes will be happening when it comes to groups and just humanity on a whole. And I think about the movie that I was sharing, The Brother's Son. Even though I understood and related to the sons wanting to do their own thing and put themselves first, I also saw how important it was for them to team up and make sacrifices for the family. So this energy also brings me to the importance of tribe and community. And this full moon energy brings me to the importance of being selfless and how that might be required of us as we move through the Pluto in Aquarius generation for the next 20 something years. And it's as we move through this 20 something years, not 27. I don't remember the exact amount. It's we're going to need to find our tribe. Find, our people, our tribe, as in, the kind of people that you resonate with, where you can thrive, where you can survive. You might not agree with everything about them, but it brings me to the movie, the show, The Walking Dead. And in the show, The Walking Dead, not saying that I'm saying anything like that will happen in the next 20 something years, but within the show, it showed you about the importance of community. And there were a bunch of different communities, and people teamed up with communities that shared similar values as them in order to survive. They didn't always agree, but the goal was survival. So I feel like this full moon in Leo in this 8th year, might be a bit of an ego bruise. It might be a bit frustrating as we go inside of ourselves seeking truth. But I feel like the blessings within this energy is that it starts to show us how, we might need to make sacrifices sometimes in order to thrive. Make sacrifices sometimes in order to accomplish things because we can't do everything by ourselves. And this is where finding our tribe, finding our community is important. Such a pleasure sharing this message with you. This is part 1 of the full moon in Leo video. Part 2 is available on Patreon, where I go into the sun, moon, rising, and pick a few cards for each zodiac sign. If you'd like to check that video out or book a natal chart awareness coaching session with me, the link to check out the video on Patreon and to book with me are both in the description box below. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a purple heart in the comment box below. I would love to hear from you and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.